Hi everyone! Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my detox journey, since a lot of you guys had questions of how I started, why I started, and everything else in between that. So it'll be 3 years in August, so right now it's May. 3 years in August, I was looking at alternative methods that I could help my children with, and that was more staying away from the medical field and more on alternative healing and something that was more clean. I wasn't putting and experimenting with them, and I wanted to just clear out some of the things that they were struggling with. So I found Dr. Morse, and from Dr. Morse I found a Dr. Morse page that was dealing with a lot of iridology. So I found one of the iridologists, and she did a report for me, and it came out I had degenerative spots in my esophagus. Well, that rung a bell because my youngest son had tracheomalacia, so his throat would collapse when he breathes, and I was told by a doctor pretty much, don't get him too excited, nor don't get him to cry, because his throat will collapse more often. So what was I kind of left with to do? Just nurse the baby constantly when he cried. But I could not explain why he had that condition. According to the doctor, it was just something that happens. Well, if something just happens and we can't explain it, I want more deep answers. Well, I wasn't able to get them. And so finding Dr. Morse and seeing my iridology report come back with the degenerative esophagus problems, it stood out to me. Obviously, I was the one that gave him that problem. And initially in my head I was thinking, is it supposed to be your DNA stronger when you pass it down to a younger generation? Aren't we supposed to pick out the best of both parents? Why are the children degenerating with diseases more or less now than they have been before? So I got to thinking, and I got to watch all Dr. Morse's videos, and I went on a binge, you guys. So there was like 800 and something videos on his YouTube channel at the time, and I watched literally every single one from the beginning to the end. Then I went on Raw Figs and watched all the videos that had been taken down throughout the years on his YouTube channel, and was so informed beyond absolutely anything that I have known before. And now mind this, I come from a medical background, so I thought I knew a decent amount of things. Well, little did I know, I knew nothing. All the missing gaps throughout the years, it almost felt like I had a huge puzzle, and that puzzle was missing 3 or 4 pieces, so it was never complete. I mean, it looked beautiful, but it was never complete. And so when I found Dr. Morse, the lymphatic system was explained to an understanding that you can relate to, and it was so simple. Then you can actually remove anything and everything out of your body. And so in that way, I was able to not only heal myself, but also work on my family. So at first it was very hard for some people to say that the journey would be a long one, and everybody that I met through his groups have been doing it for so many years, and it seemed that everybody was flawless and they were all fruitarians, which, you know, at first I was like, well, that's a lot, but I am willing to do what it takes for me to heal myself. So we were already vegan, so I wasn't really giving up all that much. So I transitioned into a fruitarian lifestyle. Well, I wanted results fast, and I get obsessive. Like I said, anything that I do 100%, and I give absolutely everything out of me. So like when I watched the videos, I watched every single one of them. I became obsessive about the topic. I went and got certified for level 1 of Dr. Morse's certification. Then I got signed up for level 2, which was absolutely amazing as well, but I'll go into that later on. And I'm getting off track here, I'm sorry. But in the long run, I said, well, if I'm going to do this for myself, I am going to do it the best to my ability as of right now. It may not be a long process. It may not be something that lasts, 2 years, 3 years, like Dr. Moore says. It is not a lifestyle unless you choose it to be, but here is a way that you can heal yourself from everything that you could possibly think of. So yes, you can detoxify yourself for a year, 2, 3, and then go back to your old lifestyle, but now you have this tool to help yourself whenever you feel that you have a problem. So that's the way I wanted to look at it at first. Then I became obsessed, and I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going back to like cooked foods. Of course, we have a whole lot more emotional and social and everything else in between that brings you back to that lifestyle, and that's a different topic. But at first, I was like, I'm going to do this 100%. So I started eating all raw. I mean, all raw, all fruit. Well, that was not doing it for me. I was like, I want to deeper. Like, I want to do this right. And so after that, I decided to go on a dry fast. I was like, well, dry fast, that's not that bad. My kidneys weren't filtering. Like, I would go and do this for just 24 hours. A little that I know. 24 hours is a long period of time without food and drink. Well, so what I did at the time I just had finished nursing. So what I was doing is drinking throughout the night as I nursed my son. Well, I tried not doing that, and I woke up, I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and I was so dehydrated. But let me go back to this. I wasn't doing an initial dry fast. Actually, the first time what I was referring to is I did a just water, stopping water throughout the night, because I was thinking, like, I was so hydrated. I drank 2 gallons of water each day. I could just surely stop drinking water throughout the night. And I woke up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations. I thought my chest was about to explode. And I woke up, could barely move, was super dizzy, drank a little bit of water, and then felt just fine a couple minutes later. And so then I was like, oh, this dry fast thing is a big deal. So let me try to do this the right way. And I hydrated myself interstitially for probably 2 or 3 weeks. So all I ate was the fruits that were in season. So we had citruses, we had watermelons, we had lots of grapes. So with all that in mind, I was like, oh, we've done a few weeks here. Let me go ahead and try to do a dry fast, a little more of an extended dry fast. Maybe I'm hydrated interstitially a little better, even though I thought it was so hydrated before. And so I attempted my first 24-hour dry fast, which was absolutely amazing. Yes, I felt dizzy when I got up the next morning, but I filtrated, and you guys, I was so happy, because now I was able to get out all of the toxins that were in my body, and it was super exciting. And by filtrating, what I mean is, if you're not familiar with how Dr. Morse explains the lymphatic system, your kidneys and your skin essentially, but your kidneys will remove all of the toxins from your lymphatic system. And so when you go to the bathroom in the morning, you can get a jar and just pee in a jar and see the urine that you produce. If it has little sediments at the bottom of it, then you have filtration. But if it's just crystal clear, it doesn't matter the color. If it's just crystal clear, you're not filtrating, so you're not removing all of the acids that you have inside of your body. So that's what I meant by that. Well, I was hooked from then. So my family was rather not enthusiastic about the change. They thought there was something wrong with me. They thought that was absolutely unhealthy, that that's not the way of living, that you needed a balance in your food. So I think one of the hardest things that I actually had to deal with is the unacceptance that I got from everybody. But luckily for me, and I know it's not that way for many of you guys, I had my husband on board, and he was my absolute support system throughout this whole journey. He actually went raw himself and was having a little bit of a harder time maintaining it constantly on fruit, but he cheated like sometimes whenever he would hang out with friends, and that was totally okay with me because I didn't have to cook it. I know a lot of you guys are having to cook for your husbands, having to cook around the house, and you're the only one doing it, so that's a whole lot harder. Luckily, that was not the case for me, and he was on board 100%, supporting me through the whole thing. And it's actually funny, the first time I decided to do a 10-day grape fast, he was so worried. I didn't want to put a number by it, so it ended up being 10 days because he was so worried there was something wrong with me. I was just having a healing crisis. So I was trying to explain to him of how my body was healing, and I was removing all of those acids that were built up in my body over the years. And he was just pretty much like, I'm really worried about you. Like, why don't you break your fast and you can continue on with another one a few weeks later? Why don't you ease yourself into it? It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to do this 100%. And I'm like, but I do. He's like, but please do it for me. Break your fast. I'm really worried about you. You're having like all these healing crisis at that time. He didn't understand. So I broke my fast, and I was really tired, really, really tired. So I broke my fast and ate fruits for another 3-4 weeks, and then I decided to do another fast, which ended up being a 40-day fast. And I went through all kinds of healing crises, and it was interesting because at this point he was 100% supportive. He had read the whole entire book that Dr. Morse had, and he understood how healing crisis worked, and the mild healing crisis and the more severe healing crisis. I only had I had nausea, exhaustion out of this world. I mean, for a few days during my second fast, I was so tired that I laid around watching Dr. Morse's videos for 12 hours at a time, did not get up. Luckily, he was here home with me and kept the kids and was a functioning parent around the house, which I'm so blessed to have him, because I don't know how could I've done it without him. I had headaches. I don't ever have headaches. I had headaches. I had cramps in my ovaries, which I did have an ovarian cyst, which I don't have anymore, luckily. That had automatically somehow disappeared. I had aches all over my body. I had flu-like symptoms. I had sinus drainage. What else did I have? Guys, I had a lot going on within a short period of time. And it was really funny that I would have a healing crisis. It would last a couple of days, and then I would feel great. I mean, almost like unbelievably recharged and emotionally well balanced. And then all of a sudden I'm like, but I don't know what's going on, and my parents are not accepting this, and my life is a whole mess. And then I'll have like an amazing day. So it was like ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. And one of the biggest healing crises that I had was one morning I woke up and I thought I was in a dream because my wrist was hurting really, really bad. Well, little did I know I was not dreaming. My wrist was actually hurting. It wasn't an impression from the dream that I woke up to and I was in La La Land. I had fractured my wrist when I was younger. And so for the longest time, you could not see absolutely anything right where I fractured it. And I woke up, there was this redness all around. I looked down, and it feels like I had just rebroken my wrist. And there's this huge red spot, and it's inflamed, and it looks like I have scar issue exactly where my bone had fractured. And I was in so much pain. I iced the whole entire day. Obviously, it wasn't broken. I was just healing from the fracture that I had had 20 years prior to this. And like I said, I used to have wrist pain all of the time. The weather would change, I would have wrist pain. I would do a little more planks, I would have wrist pain. And so it lasted for 3 or 4 days, but to a point like I could not like type on my computer, I could not move it, I couldn't work from home. And all of a sudden, 3 or 4 days later, when the healing crisis ended, guys, I swear I have not had pain in my wrist. I do have a little scar formation here. I don't know if you can see it. Right here, I don't know if you could probably see that, but anyway, that's the only thing that I'm left with, and I have not had any wrist pain since that day, which was, if somebody would have told me this, I would have been like, you are out of your mind, this does not happen, absolutely no way, prove it to me, I want to see it. But it happened to me, and it's absolutely amazing when I would hear Dr. Morse speak about all of these people that have healed from all of this amazing things. I mean, people getting out of wheelchairs, and people having cancer, and people having autism, and dealing with all these life-changing events. This was nothing, but it was such an awakening for me that this was possible. Anything was possible. You're able to regenerate your body at a cellular level and get the results that you need with a little bit of discipline, or a lot of discipline. And I say this because it was really hard for me particularly to deal with family and friends. Eating is a social event, so I was not able to socialize with my family and friends. And so a lot of the times we just stayed home, or we kept busy on the weekends, because at the time my husband was competing when we were traveling. So I just kept busy. I made myself busy because I didn't want to have to explain myself every time when I went over my parents' house is like, yes, I am eating this. Yes, that is a fruit salad. And yes, that's all I'm going to have. No, I'm not going to have anything else. Thank you for tempting me, though. So it was a very hard transition. And I think it took everybody about 2 years to understand why I was doing it and to see the results. And so once they started seeing results, and I think they started seeing results earlier, but once they realized that they started seeing results and that this was something that was helping me, there were more acceptance of it. And at this point, like, they're not making too many comments. I mean, every once in a while, they'll joke around like, hey, do you want this, or hey, do you want that? But at this point, I'm not even bothered by it. But at first, it used to tear my heart because I'm like, why aren't you understanding me? I'm doing this for me. Can't you see that I'm feeling better? And like, why are you trying to convince me to do something differently and accept and research on what I have given you, and actually given a book to my mom and my dad to read, translated in Bulgarian, so they can understand what I'm going through. And I think little steps, like I didn't want to be mean. I'm not the kind of person that if they don't have the understanding, they don't have the understanding, there's not much I can do, but I can educate them. So instead of me shutting down completely, I started educating them. I started sending them articles. I started sending them videos. I started researching Dr. Morse in Bulgarian, trying to get different books, trying to get different educational materials, trying to translate everything for them and put it in perspective, because eventually they would need to heal themselves too from whatever it is that they come through. And I wanted them to have the understanding, even though if they didn't do it now. So if I planted the seeds, maybe eventually down the line when they need to, they'll look into that alternative as opposed to something else. So, actually my dad now eats predominantly raw throughout the day and still eats meat and cheese, and by no means is vegan in any kind of way, much less raw, much less on a vegetarian level, but has made tremendous changes, and he has improved, I mean, tremendously. His eyes and his genes are so strong, I'm actually jealous. And my eyes, I'll show you guys in another video how I have improved, and my vision has improved, and my eye color, and just my iridology reports that I have done for myself throughout the years are absolutely astonishingly amazing. Like, I had this murky grayish blue eyes, and now I have this beautiful eyes that I still need to work on a lot, but they're a whole lot clearer. And lastly, to wrap all these things up, because I know I've been talking for a little while now, and I'll do another video if you guys want me to, but to wrap things up, I used to have a lot of problems that I just thought of as normal, because, you know, I mean, you get to a certain age and you have pains here and there, you're achy, I had anxiety, I had really bad eyesight, to a point where I had to wear glasses all the time when I was working. I could not see my children if I closed one of my eyes in front of me. I could not read a book without glasses. I had astigmatism, and it wasn't a headache that I would get, but it almost felt like just pressure in my head, just this nonstop pressure. I had colds constantly throughout the winters. I had blemishes. I had pimples. I had ADHD symptoms. That was a big one. I mean, not that I don't get off topic now, I just have so much to say, but I was your recommended patient for ADHD medication. I was like, and then I talk about something else, and then I got lost in my own conversation all the time. I had chronic pains in my wrist, like I said. I was constantly tired. I was constantly achy. I was feeling overall exhausted. I needed coffee to boost myself up every time, and it all changed. I became more spiritually connected. I became more clear-minded. I'm not tired. I'm very seldomly tired. Like, I get tired before I go to bed, not because I'm exhausted, but just because my body needs to sleep for the night. I sleep less, believe it or not. I used to sleep 10, 11 hours a day. There was nothing wrong with me. I just like to sleep. I don't do that now. I sleep about 7.5, 8 hours. I wake up fully energized, ready to take on the day, which before, without coffee, I'll get up and like, I don't know where I'm at. I just need to like sit here for 30 minutes and like remember what to do and how to function as an adult. But none of this happens now. I'm happy with the life that I have and all the changes that have happened, and I have nobody but Dr. Morse to thank for all of this, and for all of the knowledge that he spreads, and all of the kindness that he has for all souls around here, because it has been truly a blessing for me. If you guys have liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.